I think I spoke on this before, but I'm going to say it again as a reminder. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. Be careful of the intentions that you have when you ask for things from the divine. Be careful of the things that you ask for and the intent behind it. That's why it's always good to pray and meditate before you ask for things from the divine. It doesn't matter what denomination that you're associated with or what level of spirituality that you're on. It's always in some way, form, or fashion in their scripture or in their readings that they mention that you always pray and meditate that before you ask for things from your Creator. Because the messages are heard and you might get more than you ask for. Let me give you a couple of examples, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Let's say that there's a person who is a bit narcissistic and they like lots of attention. They like lots of attention from people. They thrive on people. Now, this is a person who, yes, they believe in God, and yes, they have somewhat of a spiritual relationship. They're not perfect. They're like all of us, None of us are perfect. We're all a work in progress. But this person, their weakness is the attention of others. They literally feel less of a person if they don't have the attention of others, and sometimes they have a tendency to go overboard to get the attention of others by performing certain acts in order to get that attention in the way of maybe talking negatively of other people in the presence of others to try to make themselves look better, or maybe if they're in a public function, probably trying to talk the loudest to try to be heard, or maybe, if it's an intimate gathering, trying to, do some type of act or something to try to stand out, to bring attention to themselves. Anything to have people pay attention to them. Or maybe just trying to be the person in the group who does the most work or gives the most financially. Anything to attract the most attention, because their ego is so fragile that they feel they have to have the most attention all the time. And really, if you look at that situation, it's emotionally exhausting to have that type of obsessive behavior. So what happens over a period of time, people expect that person to think that way. And what it does is it draws a certain type of energy. If you're this type of person who thrives on the attention of others, what you will do is you will draw people who are attention seeking. I mean, you're an attention seeking person, but you will draw people who depend on you. You'll eventually have an audience of nothing but people who depend on you. You see how this works? It's kind of like a Kool-Aid situation. Okay? In order to make a good gallon of Kool-Aid, you have to have Kool-Aid, water, and sugar. That's the way it works. In order to make a good batch of Kool-Aid. You can't have Kool-Aid without sugar. Period. All you have is colored water. So you have to have all three ingredients. So in order for the type of relationship to work with a narcissist is that you got to have an audience of people that are, that are needy. You got to have needy people. Well, the way that backfires is if you have someone who likes a lot of attention eventually you're going to have nothing but an audience of people who need you all the time. And this is what winds up happening. So this person who desires the attention of a lot of people over a period of time, their audience winds up changing. This is how the divine listens. Now this person early in the game is, I just want everybody to admire me. I just want everybody to admire me. I want them to admire me. In the meantime, they're throwing shade at the people, just going overboard, being a little nasty, not being very kind about it, being a little arrogant, trying to go overboard and showing people how special they are. I'm special, I'm special, I'm special. Okay. So the divine says, okay, well, we're going to show the world how special you are. So I'm going to let everybody know how special you are to the point where I'm going to send you some people who need you all the time. I'm going to let you know that you're so special that you're going to be needed all the time. So fast forward 20, 30 years later, this person is starting to look the part of being needed all the time. They're starting to look tired and be tired and not have 1 minute to themselves. Their attitude has changed. They're tired all the time. They're anxious, can't sleep, can't get a moment's peace. And every time you talk to them, their conversation is not as confident. They're not as upbeat anymore. And you're wondering why. Be careful what you ask for, people. Because now this person who years before, all they wanted was all eyes on them, now they're tired of the eyes being on them because the only audience that they have are people who want their attention all the time. The only audience that they have are people who need them. All I need is 2 seconds to myself. I'm tired of people being on me all the time. I'm tired of people needing me all the time. But hold on a minute. Now, 20, 30 years ago, you just wanted everybody to have attention on you. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for. Okay? These are selfish needs. Develop a closer relationship with your Creator. There are a lot of things that are interconnected in this world. Be careful of your energy. Monitor your energy. Because the energy that you put out in this world does connect with other people. It draws what you are. So if you got the mentality that you want to have a whole lot of attention, you're going to draw the type of people who want to depend on a lot of people. Okay? This is an example just to give you an idea. Monitor your energy. The divine is watching it. If you're not sure, if you have energy that's all over the place, this is another example. If you are a person who is confused and not focused all of the time, you can't stick to something, and you can't commit to anything, don't get upset and don't be surprised 20 or 30 years later if you don't have anything steady and permanent in your life. Because your energy has been distracted and focused for so many years and you haven't been able to commit or hold on to anything, don't be surprised 20 or 30 years later that you don't have anything. Because that's the type of energy that you've been putting out for all these years. Distracted energy is not going to keep anything. If you're all over the place 20 or 30 years ago, you're going to attract all over the place situations. If you've been a rolling stone and temporary, you're going to be in temporary situations. You're not going to be rooted in anything, which means you're not going to hold on to anything. So there's not going to be any sense of permanence or settle anything settled in your life. So what you had 10 or 15 years ago, you're not going to have now, because you didn't have it in your mindset to hold on to anything. So I hope this kind of reaches some people. I know it sounds a little convoluted, but for those of you who have been with the channel, you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Just monitor your energy, because the divine is. But whatever energy you put out, that's what you're going to receive. That's the type of person you're going to receive in your life. Those are the type of things you're going to receive in your life, and it's going to reflect in your future. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Peace.